by the way, England women are in the final. Hey!
Well, yes, I was going to ask you about that, Toby. You're absolutely fine supporting the England women,
Yes.
but you do not support England men. So, yeah, it's a weird one with you, isn't it, Toby? But no, I watched that match in full this afternoon when we were recording this, playing against Australia. I was worried when Australia scored, because Australia were very much on top in the match. I thought, that's it now. Australia will go and win this. But to England's credit, they did well. Funnily enough, I thought it was a very Southgate-esque performance. They went 1-0 up reasonably early in the match and then sort of sat back. They didn't look for that second. No changes made, no substitutions until very late on in the game. And I think it felt very much like a Southgate performance to me. And I was like, oh my God, if this was Southgate right now, Twitter would be going mental. If this was the men's
hang on.
football team.
How many tournaments has Southgate won?
Well,
listen to the crickets. Listen to the crickets.
You said it wasn't a cricket podcast anymore, Toby.
Well, we've gone back to it. I'm fed up with football. But no, I must confess, honestly, that before this World Cup, and I'm not a convert, I'm not a big women's football fan now, don't get the wrong picture here, but before this World Cup I watched a bit of the women's Euros, but not a lot. But I've really enjoyed watching England in this World Cup, I have to say. That they're a brilliant team in terms of the togetherness. The manager is excellent, and if she goes and wins on Sunday, we'll have an incredible record. Finished second with Dutch in the last World Cup, won the Euros of England, and then went on to win the World Cup with England. So incredible stuff. And just looking at that squad, obviously with Jill Scott retiring after the Euros, that it's a squad that has struggled at least so far up front. I don't think it's necessarily been a Southgate type of play in that they've been too defensive. I just don't think they've had the firepower up front. But they did really well to get free today. And let's see what happens on Sunday. But you know what? They won games tightly. I guess you could call it the old Mourinho method of just getting across the line. But if you go and win the tournament, whether you've breezed through your games or won all of them 1-0, nobody will really remember that. I remember Argentina won the last World Cup, didn't they? And lost to Saudi Arabia in the early stages.
In the very
Saudi
first
Arabia
match.
becoming.
I remember that with Spain many years ago as well. I think 2010 they lost their opening match to Serbia or something like that.
Switzerland, I think.
Switzerland, there you go. So
they were Argentina. I think they were definitely the second team to have gone and won the World Cup after losing their first game, which was, as you say, after Spain in 2010. So, as I say, however you win it, it doesn't really matter. But it was, it has been great. The only parting note I will say about the women's football, it's quite a shock. I think it was it Friday? I think England might have played Friday last week. I can't remember now. But whoever I was watching on Friday last week, I watched those on Friday morning, and then I sat down to watch Burnley and Man City on Friday night, the men, and it's like going from watching non-league to serious stuff. And that is no offence towards the women, or no meant offence, if you like, no intended offence, but the intensity of the Premier League, when you compare it against any other football, in fact, European football, bloody Saudi football, is incredible. And that's why it's so good that it's been back, and I've loved it the weekend. Apart from you saying Forrester's going to go down, because you're never going to live that down. But I guess you were quite happy.
Well, I will live it down when Forest do actually finish 19th this year. So there you go.
Forest will be fine. I mean, they nearly beat the supposed way fair title favourites, supposedly. Arsenal are supposed to be these.
I think saying nearly beat is a bit of a stretch, but I get what you're saying. I think they very much nearly beat Arsenal in the same way that Wolves nearly beat Man United. I think it's first game of the season. We'll see. Forest proved me wrong last year. As I say, I don't think they will this year. And if you've got no idea what we're talking about, Toby keeps referencing my Premier League predictions video that I did over on my channel. Something very, very different for me. I have actually gone and purchased a camera now, so maybe I'll do more of those things. But yeah,
if you're going to say bad things about Forest, you can forget it.
Yeah. Well, yes. It was funny you said about the non-league. I watched a load of the football over the weekend. It's probably the most football I've watched that hasn't been international football for a long time. I've been well up for the new season, and I watched Portsmouth versus Exeter City last night, just flicking through the channels late at night, and it was dreadful in comparison. So I think exactly what you said. I think it wasn't so much an offence to the women's football. It was just, wow, the Premier League is amazing, and anything else just looks terrible in comparison. I think compared to 10 years ago, just one final thing on the women's football. I used to find it quite painful to watch sometimes, particularly the goalkeeping. I think that's what's really come on over the last few years, and it's going to, as it gets more popular, the quality is going to increase, and it will happen as money is thrown at women's football, which it inevitably will be, regardless of whether England win or not on Sunday. I think especially if they do win, there'll be a lot of inspiring of a generation. There already has been with the last year or so, and yeah, I think the quality has massively increased of women's football, and it can only get better. And I think that's where England are at as a team. Actually, as a women's team, they're in a bit of a transitional phase. Some of the older players are still there that have been playing since the Olympics, so it's a very impressive job what Sarina Wiegman has done. I can't help but think that she reminds me of Sven-Göran Eriksson a lot. And I think Sven is the third best England manager of all time, but he might go down to the fourth best England manager of all time if Sunday's result goes the way we want it to. But no, well done to the Lionesses. They're certainly showing the men how it's done, I think, is one way of putting it. And it's just a good time to be an England football fan at the moment. Both men and women are doing very, very well. The under-21s won the Euros as well. So, I think we're in a good place with English football. And so we should be with the Premier League the way it is. And I think a lot of good English players at top quality Premier League teams is helping that a lot.